Stan the Survival Man here with some more survival tips and backpacking tips. As you can hear the thunder in the background, we're about to get rained on. So one of the most important things about being out in the woods is stay dry. Make sure you have good shoes that are Gore-Tex, and also you have some sort of rain suit that'll keep you dry. Gore-Tex is better because it breathes. And the worst thing to do is get a poncho or a raincoat on and then hike and then build up so much sweat inside that you're wet anyway. So you got to keep dry. That's tip number one. Alright, so we're talking about trail protection. When you're hiking down a trail, you never know what you're going to meet. Two-legged critters, four-legged critters. So it's always good to have some sort of plan or protection. I've got my canine here, my German Shepherd, Copper. He's good for bears and two-legged critters. Alright, come on. And also, you can have different types of weapons right on your backpack. Me, I like having my machete really close right here. This is a Laplander machete. It's made in Norway or Finland. Very sharp, made the same way the Vikings make theirs. Really great for defense. Now, of course, if you're in a concealed carry or a non-concealed carry state, some states will allow you to have a holster on your backpack, and you can carry your sidearm here. Some do not allow you to do that. So it depends on what the state is. So for me, to look nonchalant and more inconspicuous, I've got my sidearm right up here. So if I needed to, and I needed to draw real quick, I could just get out of my backpack quickly, drop it to the ground, get behind it, pull out my weapon, and I'm ready to go. Now, this slows you down a bit because you do have to take your backpack off. If you've got it on your belt, you can move and shoot with your backpack on. Hey, now check this out. See this? See these scrape marks right here? That's from a bear. The bear's been peeling away the bark, getting at this rotten tree, because there's grubs in there. Good eating. Alright, so once you find a place to shelter or camp, water is the most important thing you need to get. And of course, you got to have pure drinking water. You can get a drinking straw that has a purifier in it, or the water bottle. I prefer the First Need water purifier. It's the best in the market. It goes down to 0.01 microns, and it adapts all sorts of different bottles. Canteens, light bottles, snap in it, and Nalgene bottles. Just screw right into it, and you get a fill with each pump. So it also has a pre-filter. You gotta have water, you gotta stay hydrated. Water is one of the most important things for survival. Alright, so we talked about staying dry and the importance of that. We also talked about trail protection. Now that we found a campsite, we got the stuff out of our 72-hour pack, we go get water. Water's important, got to stay hydrated. Now we talk about shelter. I have seen so many 72-hour packs packed with the worst cheap crap old tent that fails every time, and you get wet and miserable. Nothing worse than trying to survive when you're wet and miserable. So spend the money to get a good tent, something that's definitely waterproof. I like North Face. Also, get a good sleeping bag, a good mummy bag. I've seen a lot of people who get cold because they buy a cheap bag, and so then they stack blanket upon blanket upon blanket on top of that sleeping bag trying to stay warm. That only works with the old-fashioned sleeping bags. If you have a mummy bag, the loft is what keeps you warm. And if you pack blankets and other stuff on top of it, it compresses that loft and you're going to get cold. So don't. If you got a mummy bag, just invest in a good one. It's easier to cool down than it is to warm up. So get a bag that's overrated for where you're going to be camping. This one is good down to minus 11 Celsius. That's 30 degrees below. So anyways, so get a good warm sleeping bag. Now, you're outside and you're sweating a lot and your clothes get damp. So if you want to stay warm in a sleeping bag, it's best to change your clothes into some dry clothes, or go down to your skivvies, or none at all, your birthday suit. That's the best way to stay warm in a mummy bag, because your damp clothes will slowly evaporate and cool you down. You don't want that. Once again, you want to be dry in your mummy bag. Waterproof, dry, can't stress it. Hypothermia, you can die from it, even in a tropical zone. Don't skimp on the shelter. Alright, so now when you're out in the woods, you got to make a fire. So I'm going to show you how to make a fire real quick. It's been raining a lot, so everything is wet. See, even the twigs that are laying on the ground are kind of rubbery. So if you want to find dry wood to get a fire started, look underneath the pine tree and you can find dry wood that's been protected by the branches as the rain comes down. So this is where you get little tiny branches and stuff to start your fire. All right, so now if you have just flint and steel and magnesium, then you're going to have to build a nest out of stripped bark and grasses and things like that to get the spark in there to blow it and get it going. But since everything's so wet, I'm just going to show you. Luckily, we've got some matches, waterproof matches, wind safety matches. You've seen these all in the store, and of course a lighter. Lighters are great. But to build the fire quickly, start off with very small sticks first and build them up in a teepee. And slowly get to a little bit larger sticks on the outside. Then have other wood ready to go. You got to make sure that you can't leave the fire to go get wood when it's just starting. So we'll just pick some matches here. And as you can see, I've got this this all built up with the very small stuff at the bottom, and it gets bigger and bigger up towards the top. So these are waterproof matches, so they have a wax coating on them. So sometimes they're hard to strike. Yeah, see, like that. Ah! Boy, 2 matches. This is not good. Alright, let's see if we can get it started here. There we go. Let it burn and get it right into the little tiny stuff. There you go. And then slowly add more fuel on top. Starting, of course, with the smallest stuff and then getting bigger and bigger. It's nice to have it all ready. That was kind of embarrassing. I got 2 matches instead of just 1. So we've got a magnesium block and fire striker, Leatherman. Even though everything's really wet out here, we're going to try starting a fire. We've got a little nest. We found some dry grass. I've shaved off some of the magnesium into a little hole here. I'm using toilet paper also to kind of get a good spark. Let's see if we can get a flame going here. That toilet paper helped, but the magnesium is flammable. The duty cam. When you're out in the woods, you will need to do your business. Nature will call. So when nature calls, make sure you find a spot where you can go that is at least 200 yards or more away from any water source. Also, when you find a nice spot, make sure you have this kind of tool. Either an orange plastic shovel or one of these. This one I like because it digs down in the ground very sturdily. Dig a deep hole, do your business, and put your biodegradable paper down into the hole, or pack it out. Now the thing about most people just kind of do their business out in the woods and leave the paper there and they think it's going to magically disappear. Well, it doesn't. And the last thing you want to do is attract more bugs, critters, and it's just unsightly for other people. So make sure you bury it deep in the ground. Put some dirt on it, and a big rock or so, or some logs. Make sure that it's not seen. Now what if you don't have any toilet paper? Well, you can use some grass like this. Wad it up, and that will work. Or some leaves. Or even moss. Not the best, but it works. But don't use thistles. Thistles would hurt. Or you can even use smooth stones. When in an emergency, you gotta do what you gotta do.